So let me walk you through the full cascade, all 7 layers in sequence. And as we go through each one, I want you to think about your own organization, not necessarily in a critical way, just as an observer. So layer 1 is leadership identity. I talk about this in episode 2. This is the most upstream layer in the whole system. It is the pattern where a leader takes on responsibility that maybe should belong to others. The leader maybe who avoids conflict to keep the peace, a leader who feels like they need to be the one with all the answers. These patterns are usually invisible to the person carrying them, but they are completely visible to everyone around them. And the organization slowly and gradually learns to operate inside of that identity. Layer 2 is leader regulation. And this is in episode 3. So whether a leader absorbs the pressure or passes it on, when urgency lives at the top of the system, it travels downward. Teams then shift from strategy and thinking to being reactive. And then strategic thinking gets replaced by just getting through the day. And nobody wants to choose this. It's simply what happens when too much pressure sits at one layer for too long. Layer 3 is psychological safety. And this I talk about in episode 4. This is whether people feel genuinely safe to speak honestly. And I'm not talking about the policy version of safe. I'm talking about the real version. This is based on what I've actually seen happen version. When safety is low, real information stops moving upward, problems stay hidden until they become crises, and then silence in meetings gets interpreted as agreement when it actually might be self-protection. Layer 4 is communication layer. And I talk about this in episode 5. What actually travels up through the organization. And by the time information reaches the executive table, it's maybe filtered at every layer it passes through. And leaders are often making important decisions on a picture that might be missing the most important pieces. And they do not know what they do not know. Layer 5 is culture layer. I talk about that in episode 6. This is not the values on the wall, the actual pattern of what gets tolerated. And I'm talking like what gets rewarded, what gets ignored, and what gets punished. Culture is the output of the 4 layers above it, and it cannot change. And the culture change will not stick until those 4 layers shift. Layer 6 is the decision layer, and I talk about that in episode 7. Whether executive decisions hold or stick when they leave the meeting, whether the team is actually genuinely aligned or maybe just aligned on paper. When decisions break apart at this layer, the organization below learns to wait, to hedge, to not commit until they see which version of this decision is going to stick. And that instinct shows up in every performance measure. And then layer 7 that we're talking about today, this is the performance layer. This is the numbers you see in your dashboard. This is the real numbers, important stuff worth responding to. And this is the last stop on a very long journey that started at the identity layer. Your dashboard is not showing you where the problem started. It is showing you where it ended up. And these are very different places. So what do we do with this?